What's up guys, Perry from Rockville here, and today I'm going to show you how to set up your ISOBOX. So as you can see, it comes with the ISOBOX itself. It also comes with the hardware to mount the box onto your mic stand, and it also comes with this bag here where we can place the ISOBOX so we can bring it from gig to gig. When we look on the inside of the ISOBOX, you'll see that it's nice and padded with all of this foam, which will give you that isolated vocal for a nice clean recording. And then we also have the mic stand inside, which will hold our dynamic or condenser mics or anything we're using for recording. We can also adjust the height of the mic stand to make it taller or shorter, and we even have the option to move it around in different positions. So what I mean by that is, if we look at the bottom of the ISOBOX, you'll see these 4 slits here, which will show you all the different ways we can place our mic stand. So you can tell where your mic stand is by looking for this knob here, which is the knob that's holding the mic stand in place inside of the box. So if we ever wanted to move it, we can hold on to the mic stand inside and then loosen this knob here. And you're gonna wanna loosen it all the way so that it comes off like this. And with the mic stand and the knob in hand, we can now choose the new position for our mic. So if I wanted the mic to be more in front, I can place the knob right here, which represents the front of the box. So I can feed the knob right through this slit. And if you peek through the foam on the bottom of the box, you'll be able to see the threading, so we can screw the mic stand in that place. From here, we can even choose how far up front we want our mic to be or how far back we want our mic to be. And this goes for all of the other places we can set up the mic. So we can set it to the right here, and we can choose how far we want it to go out or how much in the middle we want it to come. Same with the left position here, we can set it as far or as close to the middle as we want. And same goes for the original position. So we can set it farther in the back, and we can bring it closer like this or farther back like that. So once we found the position we want to use, we're going to take the bottom of our mic stand, and again we're going to find the threading here past the foam on the bottom of the box. Then we're going to line up the stand to the threading and just tighten it to secure it. You can also loosely tighten the stand onto the knob so you can still move it around like so, but this way you have the stand semi-attached so you have a better idea of where your mic is going to be inside. And once you're all set, you can fully tighten it to lock it in place in your box. Another thing I want to point out at the bottom of the box is these 4 circles here, and we can actually use these to feed our mic cable through once we have the mic attached to the stand. So you can take the female end of your mic cable and run it through any of these holes, which can depend on where your mic is placed and how it can best connect to the microphone. So when you feed the mic cable through, you can just run it through this hole and make sure that you're pushing past the foam on the bottom of your box. And then you'll find the end of your mic cable inside of your booth here so you can plug it into your microphone. Another thing I want to point out is that if you have the height of your mic stand on the lower side, you can actually take off this door here just like that. Then you can turn the door upside down like this and place it on the hinges on the opposite side, so that this way when the microphone is lowered, then you can still have the sound coming through the pop filter here and picked up by the mic on the inside. And to reattach the door, you're just gonna line up the hinges on the door and on your box here. Press it in so you hear the click, and just like that, it's back on the box. On the bottom of the box, you'll also see the feet here, so we can place our box on our desktop if we prefer to set it up that way. But we can also mount the box onto a mic stand using this hole in the middle here. So let me actually show you how to do that right now. Now, mounting the ISOBOX on your mic stand is a super helpful setup, especially if you're in a studio setting and you prefer to stand while you're recording your vocals and you still want that isolated sound using the ISOBOX. So to show you how to mount the box, I have 2 of my RV4 mic stands here, with one of them having the thicker threading on top and the other one has a thinner threading on top. So I'm going to show you how to do it both ways. Now what we're gonna need for these setups is the mounting hardware that comes included with the ISOBOX. So if we take a look at it, these are actually 3 different pieces. So this right here is the attachment piece to convert the thicker threading of your mic stand to a thinner threading, and we can take it right off just like this by unscrewing it. We're left with two more pieces here. So we've got the plate, which will keep the box steady when we mount it onto our stand. So we can unscrew that from the last piece we have here, which is an adapter for thinner threading like the one on top of my second stand here, to convert it into a thicker threading. So this is good because no matter what type of stand you have with a thicker or thinner threading, you can always attach your box onto your stand. So first, let me show you how to attach it onto your stand with the thicker threading on top. So for that, we're gonna need the adapter piece from thick to thin. We're gonna take the piece and then screw it onto the top of our stand. We'll then take our plate here and place it right on top. And remember, we have the hole here in the middle of the box on the bottom. So this is the hole we're gonna use to mount the box onto our mic stand. So I'm just gonna pick up the ISOBOX and place it right on top of the mic stand, again lining up the hole to the top of the thread here. And once you have the box on your mic stand here, you're gonna look for the threading between the foam. And then you're gonna take your second adapter here, the thin to thick adapter, and line up the bottom with the thin side to the thin threading of your mic stand and screw it on to secure the box onto your mic stand. And just like that, we have the ISOBOX all set up to the stand here. And what's really cool about the RV Mic 4 is that it has this grip here on the side, so we can press it down and adjust the height very easily for whatever fits our setup. And then we can just let go once we have the appropriate setting. Now again, if you have a mic stand that has the thinner threading on top, we have these adapter pieces that we can use to set up our ISOBOX all the same. For this setup, it actually might help to take the cap off the top of the stand here. So we're just gonna unscrew it. And then this way, we have more threading to work with when attaching the ISOBOX onto our stand. So because we're working with the thinner threading here, we're gonna take the adapter that makes it a thicker threading, line up the bottom of our adapter to the threading here and just screw the adapter on. Next, we're gonna take the plate here and screw that onto the adapter on top of the stand. Then we're gonna take the ISOBOX and mount it onto the stand the same way by using the hole on the bottom of the box and lining that up to the top of our stand. And again, once you have the box on your stand, you're gonna look for the threading here between the foam. Then you're gonna take your thick to thin adapter and screw that onto the threading between the foam to secure the box onto your stand. Now that we've got the ISOBOX all set up to our stand, we can now set up our microphone so we can start recording. Now when it comes to setting up a microphone with the ISOBOX, we can either use a condenser microphone or a dynamic microphone. The main difference between the two mics is the overall quality of sound. Also, the condenser microphone tends to be more sensitive than the dynamic microphone. And you also need different mic clips to hold them. So for the condenser microphone, you use a shock mount that looks like this. And for the dynamic microphone, you can use a standard mic clip like this. So first, I'm gonna show you guys how to set up a dynamic microphone with the ISOBOX. So whether we're using a mic clip or a shock mount, the first thing we want to consider is the threading of whichever mic holder we're using. So what I mean by that is if we look at the bottom here, you'll see the threading that can be used when attaching to the mic stand inside of your ISOBOX. When it's pretty open like this will mean that we can attach it to any thicker threading, but sometimes your mic clips or shock mounts have a thinner thread inside, but either way it's no problem because the threading on the mic stand inside of your ISOBOX has the adapter on top, so you can actually take that off to reveal a thinner threading. So you can use any type of mic clip or mic holder, no matter what the threading on the bottom is. So to reveal the thinner threading on the top of your mic stand, you're just gonna unscrew the adapter on top to reveal that thinner threading. But remember, you have both options no matter which mic clip you're trying to attach. So for the dynamic microphone setup, I can take my mic clip here and I'm gonna line up the threading on the bottom of the clip to the threading here on the mic stand and then just screw it on. From here, you can take your dynamic microphone and slip it onto the clip just like this. Remember, you can also adjust the height of the mic stand using this knob here on the side. So if you want it taller, you can just bring it up. If you want to make it shorter, just bring it down, and then just tighten the knob to lock it in place. So now we can connect our microphone to our interface so we can start recording, and we also have the holes on the bottom of the ISOBOX so that we can use that to feed our cable through to connect to our mic. So I'm going to take the female end of my mic cable and run it through either of the holes here on the bottom of the ISOBOX. Which hole you use just depends on where your mic is placed. So because it's a little bit further back, I'm going to use one of the back holes here. I'm going to keep pushing up so that it's pushing past the foam on the bottom of the box. And then I'm just going to connect the female end into the microphone. We can then take the other end of our mic cable and plug it into our interface. Once you're all set, you can close up the door for your box so that the pop filter is covering up the microphone to block the plosive sounds. And you can also use the pop filter as a reference of where you should place yourself for when you're recording. Remember also, you can adjust the placement of the mic itself inside of the ISOBOX using the slits on the bottom of the box for the best setup that you need with your microphone. So once you're all set, you can hit record on your DAW and start recording with the ISOBOX. So now I want to show you guys how to set up a condenser microphone with the ISOBOX. So again, the first thing we want to do is look at our shock mount and see what kind of threading here is on the back. So as you can see, it's a pretty open, thick threading. So that's going to match up with the threading we have on the mic stand inside of the ISOBOX. But again, in case it doesn't match and you have a thinner threading here on your shock mount, you can always take the adapter piece off the mic stand inside of your ISOBOX to reveal the thinner threading. So when attaching the shock mount to your mic stand, the first thing we recommend you doing is making it straight just like this. You know, most times it's in a 90-degree angle when you have the microphone on there and everything. But if you want to straighten it out, you can loosen this knob here, make the shock mount straight, and then just tighten up the knob to lock it in place. So once you have that set, you can line up the threading of your shock mount to the top of your mic stand and then screw it on. So once you have the shock mount attached, you're going to loosen the knob here on the side of your shock mount so that you can place it in that 90-degree angle. Tighten the knob up to lock it in place, and then you can take your condenser microphone and pinch on the shock mount to open it up, slide the mic right in, and let go of the latches once you have the mic in there. And now we have it set up. Again, remember, you can adjust the height using the knob on the side of the mic stand inside of your ISOBOX. Again, to set up the microphone to your interface, you're going to take your mic cable and run it through the bottom of the ISOBOX. Remember, you can use any of the holes that match up best with your microphone. So I'm going to run it through the bottom of the ISOBOX so that it's lining up to the microphone here. And then I'm just going to connect the female end of my mic cable into the condenser mic. So now that we got the mic all set up, we can close up the ISOBOX, connect the other end of our mic cable into the interface. And the one thing you want to remember about condenser microphones is that they need to be powered by phantom power on your interface, so make sure that's powered on before you start recording. Once we got that all set, we can hit record. Now, because of the feet on the bottom of the ISOBOX, you can also use it without a microphone stand and place it on your desktop like so. But you want to make sure that the pop filter or the microphone in general, while it's inside of the ISOBOX, is lining up to your mouth so that you're getting an accurate recording. Now, there is another setup we can use with the ISOBOX by removing the front door here. To do that, we're going to look for these hinges here for the door of the ISOBOX. And we can do this with one corner at a time, but we're basically going to take the corner of the door here where the first hinge is. So we'll do this one corner at a time and very carefully. I'm going to start with the top corner here. I'm going to grab the door right here and pull it from the hinge very carefully again, like this. So that covers the first hinge here, and we're going to do the exact same thing for the second one here with the bottom corner of the door. Again, pull it very carefully so that it gets removed from the hinge, just like that. And now you'll see that we have full access to the inside of the ISOBOX. So this is just another setup option if you wanted to sing more directly to the microphone while it's sitting inside of the box. But if you still wanted to avoid the plosives while recording with your mic, we can add an external pop filter. To do that, we're just going to open up the clamp here at the bottom of our pop filter. We're then going to line up the clamp to the stand inside of the ISO box. And once it's lined up the way we want, we're going to tighten up the clamp to lock it in place. And then we're just going to bring the pop filter up to the microphone like this, and now we're all set. And if you wanted to reattach the door to the ISO box, you're just going to line up these hinges here to the hinges on the side of the ISO box like this. And then we're just going to push these hinges in together until it clicks into place, just like that. So hopefully this showed you guys how easy it is to set up your ISO box. But of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support team through phone or email. As always, I'm Perry from Rockville, and we'll see you guys next time.